Hello students, welcome back. In today's video, we shall be studying about trade unions. What are the characteristics of trade unions? What are the reasons as to why, the types of trade unions and the reasons as to why um, employees join trade unions? So first let us have a look at what we understand by the term trade unions over here. See, it is a voluntary organization of workers which acts as a bargaining unit and representing the interest of workers. So from this, what do we understand in terms of the features are as follows. See, it's a voluntary organization. Nobody has asked them to create this group of workers. They have formed this organization on their own, based on their own decision. It's not like a government body or the company is imposing on them that they have to form an association or a group over here. So that is the reason why you call it as a voluntary organization of workers. And the reason why they form themselves is because they need to protect their interests. So see, have a look at the second point here. It can either be temporary or permanent. So in order to protect their interests, they may want to bargain with the company for better wages. They may want to bargain with the company for better working conditions, or they might want to bargain with the company for um, favorable working hours. So for all these reasons, a trade union can form. And again, it can be temporary. See, probably once uh, all this while the need for a trade union might not have been there, but some severe issue is cropping up. In order to address that issue, a temporary group of workers can form together in the form of a trade union to communicate easily with the management. Once that issue gets resolved, this trade union can get disbanded. So this is a case of a temporary union, or it can even be a permanent union also. So another characteristic of a trade union over here is regulation. So the purpose of a trade union is to regulate and restrict certain practices what its members are following. Now this is more, it's more applicable for the national level trade unions, what I had already spoken to you about in the previous video. So supposing a union of certain members of a profession are forming. Let us say we are speaking about the bank employees union, or let's say the Indian Medical Association, which is also an example of a doctors union. So there are certain do's and don'ts which this doctors union, members of the doctors union have to follow. Certain do's and don'ts which the members of the bankers union also might have to follow. So this is the way in which a trade union's role is to regulate or probably restrict certain practices what its members are to adopt. And then it can be a federation of two or more unions. As I had already told you in the previous video, for trade unions can come of different types. So one of the thing is where it is a trade union which is specific to a factory, to a certain company. Another form of a trade union is the trade union from many companies come together and form a trade union. Another form of trade union is trade unions across many companies, many industries, many regions, many geographical regions also can come together and form an association here. So this way it is called as a federation. There is something called as Central Trade Union Organization. So this is a situation where it's a huge federation of trade unions in India, which will comprise of more than um, 4 lakh workers, and it should be spread across 4 industries, minimum 4 industries, and should be spread across 4 states. So this, if this is the situation, it will be called as a central trade union organization. I had already told you examples of a few central trade union organizations. So one of them, it is this Bharat Mazud uh, Sangh. Okay, Hind Mazud Sangh. This is another tried form of Central Trade Union organization. So these are ways in which two or more trade unions from different companies, from different industries across different geographical regions come together and make an association. Then trade unions come in several types. So what are the types of trade unions? We will see in our next slide. So here you have something called as craft unions. So what we understand by craft unions here is when members practicing a certain profession, members practicing a certain vocation or a profession or a particular skill, they come together and form an association. It's called as a craft union. A few examples of craft unions are, if you have a look at this example here, these are also craft unions. Although I have given it under the heading of white collar employees union, this also forms a form of craft union. All India Bank Employee Union. Okay, so those people who are in the profession of a banker will come into the category of this union. Then you have Indian Federation of Working Journalists. The profession of journalists makes them eligible to become a part of this union. Then you have this one, All India Medical Association, Indian Medical Association. Indian Medical Association is an example of, again, a union of doctors. So this is, again, it's a voluntary. It is not like Indian Medical Association is not created by any government body as such. Okay. So there is one more type of union specific to Air India, Air India's Navigators Union. It's a union of the pilots of Air India and yes, the pilots of other Indian companies as well. So this is how craft union works. General union, as I had already told you, it's a situation where uh, anybody who is in working as a worker in any company, in any industry, in any sector, in any geographical region can form an association and create this union here. So as I had told you regarding general union in the last slide itself, I had already given you that example. The Central Trade Union Organization, which is the biggest unions of India at the national level, forms a part of the Central Trade Union Organization. There are many trade unions at the national level which qualifies itself to become a Central Trade Union Organization. I had already told you examples in the previous slide. The Hind Mazdoor Sabha, Bharat Mazdoor Sabha, all these things are all Central Trade Union organizations. Then you have a closed shop. Closed shop means if you have to gain employment in a company, you have to be a union member. You might have to be a union member of this Bharat Mazdoor Sabha in order to gain employment in a particular company's shop floor. Okay, so this is an example of how closed shop works. So this means that the union workers are specifying that only those people who belong to a union can join their company. The union workers become the suppliers of labor over here. The company cannot make a decision on taking some employee for working in their factory. The union workers make the decision as to who has to come to work in the factory, and that person should be a person who belongs to one of these central unions here, national level unions here. So this, in case this employment practice is followed, it is called as a closed shop. Then there is something called as an open shop over here. Open shop means if you have to become an employee of a company's factory, even if you're belonging to a union also, it's okay. If you're not belonging to a union also, it's okay. You can become an employee of that company's factory. So you don't have to be a union member in order to become an employee for a company's factory. Then you have a union shop. This is a situation where a clause is there for a person who's joining a company and supposed to work in that company's factory, okay, in the production department. So the clause is that if they join the company and if they are not belonging to any union as of now, The moment they join the company, they are supposed to join a union. This is the condition of employment for certain people who might be joining. So a union shop is upon joining the company, they should become members of a trade union. Then you have something called as an agency shop. An agency shop, it's something similar to this crafts union over here. Then you have something called as a check off. Check off means when you join a company, you will have to pay certain union dues. Each and every employee has to pay certain union dues. Those union dues, they do not have to pay from their pockets. The company will cut a certain amount of those dues from their wages. So this is called as a check-off arrangement. Now the reason why this union dues, it is imposed over here is, see, trade union, it's a voluntary organization formed out of your own accord, and nobody has asked you to create that organization. Because it's voluntary, many people will say that I joined this union only because of my choice. So why should I pay for it? See, many people, when it comes to paying money for a membership fees or whatever it might be, they may not be willing to. They might want it just free of cost. So in order to make sure that each and every member of the union pays up, um, a condition is imposed here that during the while joining a company for employment, the company will be cutting a small portion of their wages, deducting a small portion from their wages, call it as union dues, and pay the collective amount to the trade union. Okay, so this is the way in which a check-off can work. The purpose of a check-off is just to make sure that no individual union employee avoids paying the union dues, just to make sure that each and every one pays the union dues over here. Then you have blue collar and white collar unions. So what we understand by blue collar and what is understood by white collar? Blue collar workers are those workers who work in the factory. They are directly handling the machineries here. Okay, so those who work in the factory, those who directly handle the machineries, those who are working in the production line, who are working in the shop floor, they are called as blue collared workers. And white collared workers are those who do not work at the factory, do not work in the shop floor. They can be clerical staff, administrative staff, they can be accountants. All these people come under the category of white collared workers. So more focus over here is now given on the white collared unions here. Now the reason is blue collared workers, although initially the white collared workers, on account of their social status, on account of their educational qualification, they were having better job security initially. They were having better pay and better working conditions compared to their blue collared counterparts. But however, because of increasing political support, because of increasing political parties' involvement in the labor movement, now the blue collared workers are having better job security. The blue collared workers are having, in fact, better wages compared to what some of the entry level white collared workers are having. Some of the blue collared workers are quite skilled. Their skills are valued in terms of the operation of the machinery, etc. So some of them are highly skilled. Now, because of these reasons, of late, what is happening now is blue collared workers are having more advantage compared to the white collared workers. It is because of this reason that initially white collar workers did not want to join a trade union. They did not feel the requirement of the trade union because they were comfortable. But now, because their position is coming down compared to the blue collared workers, the necessity of launching a trade union for the white collared workers is coming up now. Because of this reason, there are several trade unions that have formed comprising of the white collared workers, some of which are, I'd already mentioned these for you before. The Indian Bank Employee Union is one, Indian Federation of Working Journalists is one. All these are examples of white collared workers union. Then finally, you have something called as agricultural union. Agricultural union is where you should be practicing agriculture. agriculture need not necessarily mean only the growing of crops. It can also mean other practices connected to agriculture, which can be dairy farming. It can also include, it can also include poultry farming. It can also include pisciculture, okay, the raising of, rearing of fishes. So this is all these practices makes you eligible to become a part of the agricultural union. So, but actually speaking, what is happening with agricultural union over here is, um, in early 1970s, sometime in 1971, um, efforts were initiated to form agricultural unions. But what happened here is, see, there were totally around 470 crore agriculturists. Out of those 470 crore, not on 470, sorry, 470,000 crore agriculturists were there. Out of this 470,000 crore agriculturists, only 93,000 of farmers became a part of the agricultural union. So from this, we can understand the way in which the efforts to make a full-fledged agricultural union has not been successful as such. Now, the reason is many. See, what happens here is, uh, most of these agriculturists, they are quite poor. Okay, they come around 50 to 60% of the agriculturists in India are quite poor. They fall below the poverty line. And there is a high level of illiteracy also among them. Now, what happens because of this illiteracy is, many of them come from different social classes also. Many of them come from different communities. Because of illiteracy, they are not able to gel well with the other communities. They are not able to gel well with the other social classes. But this is not the case in case of other trade unions. Many of them are quite literate. They would have studied at least till 10th standard or 12th standard. Many of the other workers who belong to other trade unions are not agriculture. So because of that slight level of literacy which they have, because they're slightly educated, they can mingle well with other cultures also. They have the tolerance level in them. They can mingle well with other people of even other social classes. But unfortunately for these agricultural workers, agricultural laborers, they are, because of their narrow-mindedness, because of their illiteracy level, they are unable to mingle with other social classes or mingle with other communities. Because of this, the level of cohesion within that agricultural union itself is very less. So because hence a proper agricultural union could not be formed. But however, efforts have been made to form at least cooperatives, at least in specific geographical areas. Some examples of cooperatives which have been formed are in the state of Kerala, in Karnataka also we have, and in Gujarat. These are all places where cooperatives have been formed. Amul, you take for example, is an example of cooperative which is based in Gujarat. In India, in Karnataka, you have Karnataka Milk Federation, KMF, the cooperative which owns the brand of Nandini. This is also an example of agricultural cooperative, in at least specifically if you say a dairy cooperative. So here some kind of efforts are being initiated here. Let's have a look at the reasons why employees join trade unions. First and foremost thing we hear is better bargaining power. If you bargain as an individual, you may not get concessions or benefits. But if you form and you bargain together as a group, you might be able to get certain concessions. Please excuse me for a minute. Welcome back, students. Sorry about the interruption here. Yes, so the reasons for joining trade unions as such is, one thing is better bargaining power. If you go and try to negotiate as an individual, it is not going to work. But however, you form a group and try to negotiate and try to get some concessions as a group, that is definitely going to work. So in order to get a better bargaining power, employees join trade unions so that they can represent themselves as a group and get better concessions. See, group efforts are much more effective than individual efforts here. In the same way, supposing a group withdraws, it is going to impact the company much more than how it would be if an individual withdraws. So thereby, the company will be quite fearful where in case the conditions of a certain group of employees are not met, they may end up withdrawing from the company, especially when the services of those group of people are highly important for the company. So it is for this reason why trade unions come into the picture. And the second reason is to bargain with the company members for better terms of employment like wages, hours, or working conditions. The third reason why trade unions are formed is for increased job security. Not all the time trade unions are formed for just earning extra wages, for bargaining for wages. See, what happens here is sometimes in the automobile sector, especially, um, the production, not only automobile sector, yes, you can take this for any sector as such. What happens here is sometimes production will be very good. However, sometimes the production will be quite less. During the times where production is good, workers will be taken into the company. But whenever production is reducing, the workers might be terminated. When they are going to be terminated, or uh, whether they, after termination, whether they will be called back or not, all these things the workers will not know. It is for protecting themselves against this job insecurity also, to make sure that they have job security also, employees can form trade unions. So there are instances where the workers have felt like as though they are not treated in a human way, because as and when the company's management feels, they are terminating them whenever production might be less, as and when the company's management feels, they are taking them back without giving them prior notice in any way. Because of this, the workers many times feel that they are being treated as some kind of a use and throw object rather than being treated as human beings. So to instill this human uh, attitude, the to make sure that the management treats them in a humane fashion, trade unions are formed just to make sure that certain job security is also ensured for them. And apart from that, okay, yes, of course, we have always the wages, working hours, etc. And then because of increased awareness and political support, because of increased awareness of the right to form unions and the right to bargain, and labor legislations are also formed in favor of these workers, and there is a lot of political support also which the trade unions get. As I had already told you, there are many trade unions who are affiliated to certain political parties like the Communist Party. So because of this political affiliation and increased awareness of the rights, trade unions are formed. And now we may be wondering, why is it that employers, why does a company encourage trade unions? As I had already told you, it's not so easy to de-unionize. Company cannot just make a rule that they are not supposed to form trade unions because of the political support that the labor, uh, because of the political support that the labor movement is gaining. Okay, so because of this reason, you just cannot de-unionize like that. And also, uh, employers feel that it's easier to communicate with a huge number of group, with a representative of a huge group rather than as individuals. So supposing 100 people are having the same problem, rather than communicating with each and every one of those 100 people, it would be better to communicate with one or two representatives of those 100 people. So the procedure will be more simpler and it will become more easier for the management. It is again for this reason that the employers are encouraging trade unions. So yeah, so actually I'm also running out of battery over here, so I will just stop the video with this part. I will continue in the next part. In the next part, I shall continue with the problems of trade unions. In the next video, I shall see you guys with problems of trade unions. Thank you.